All right, y'all, we back at it again. Mic check 1 2, making sure my sound levels is nice and loud. I apologize for the last upload. This is what happens when you have a workstation computer / gaming station where your son is on it constantly, and he adjusts the volume. So it's my fault for not checking the volume on my last video, but you know, you just may have to just up the volume up a little bit just to hear it. But I know it's louder this time because I can see the levels. So anyway, family, we're back at it again. I really want to touch upon the topic about this upcoming selection. I understand. Well, I know that we're having our local elections here, you know, in Florida, which I already voted, but I'm not taking part of the political process when it comes to the presidential selection. I'm holding my vote, and I wanna talk about how dangerous it is to see. Here's the thing. I'm not voting, right? And I'm not telling you guys not to vote or whatever. I'm not telling you guys to do anything, but I'm just giving you guys my experience as far as what I'm doing and just the thought process of how you're doing it as far as voting. So I want to talk about how dangerous it is to spite vote, which is an emotional way of voting for a candidate. And voting for something emotionally is completely erratic, completely off guard. And when you don't vote with logic and you vote with emotions, that's extremely dangerous. And so when people have this, and I'm talking about black people, black society, we have this thought process of, you know, and this is the majority of black people, because you know, the reason why I know that is because I have family members who have this thought process, and it's a dangerous thought process to have, to vote for a candidate because you don't like the other candidate, to vote for a candidate because you don't like the candidate. It's an emotional vote. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, you have people that are going to vote for Joe Biden simply because they don't like Donald Trump, aka Clockwork Orange. That's it. They don't know what his policies are. They don't know about his past history in terms of his overt racist comments, his overt not overt, basically he's done it. He's practiced systemic racism on black people, right? It's documented. They clearly don't know this guy's history, right? Same thing with Biden. You're going to spite your vote for Trump for Joe Biden, right? And again, voting from an emotional standpoint is dangerous. It is extremely dangerous, very erratic. And unfortunately, the majority of our people demonstrate that behavior, right? And, you know, I want to come across, because, again, on my channel, I talk about facts, logic, and common sense. I talk about things that I can prove to you, right, with empirical data, right? And, you know, in the 2016 selection, and I call this not an election, but a selection, because the so-called president of the United States has already been selected, right? But the 2016 selection, the black vote, the turnout, according to statistics from the Pew Research Center, the turnout was a lot lower than its previous year, or the previous term. Okay, it was a lot lower. Now, the reason why I want to bring about, you know, voting turnout, you know, things of that nature, and people who talk about, well, you know, and this is another thing about black people. They feel as though, right, if you hold your vote, that means you're complicit into the process of Donald Trump. That means you're already voting for him. That's basically what they're trying to say. So if you don't vote for either candidate and hold your vote, that means you already are giving a vote to Donald Trump. Now, I'm going to show you and prove to you that's an emphatic lie. That is an emphatic lie. The reason why it's a lie is because of the simple fact that black society as a whole, we're a quote-unquote minority. We're only 13% of the population. So even if we did vote, every single one of us, 13% of us in the population voted for whoever candidate, in the grand scheme of things, it would not matter. Because the majority votes come from people classified as white. Right? So in this article, they talk about, and I'll reference the article in the link below. In this article, they talk about Democrats lose elections because of black voters' apathy. That's one of the myths that they listed. Democrats lose elections because of black voters' apathy. The term voter apathy basically means that, you know, black people are not interested in the political process. Black people are not interested in voting. That's voter apathy. Now, I don't have voter apathy. I have what's called, basically, I'm not voting for either candidate because they don't present anything that's going to protect black society. There's no tangibles. There's no policies that are going to protect black society. So if you don't have anything tangible, if you don't have anything that's going to protect black society, I'm not voting for y'all. Either one of y'all. You know what I'm saying? And I'm definitely not voting emotionally. I think about things, everything logically. Everything is calculated with me. So I'm going to read this this article here. It says, Democrats lose elections because of black voters' apathy. In 2016, a 7-point drop in black voter turnout was perceived to have lost Clinton the selection. They put election, but I call it selection. Political commentators often cite black voters' enthusiasm gap as the primary reason for low turnout. After last month's election selection, an NBC headline claimed, Democratic wins come with a warning sign. Low African American voter turnout, suggesting that unless black voters are energized, Democrats cannot prevail. Right? Says, but the 7 million to 9 million voters, mostly white, who backed Trump after supporting Obama 4 years earlier, played a larger role in Clinton's loss than lower black turnout. And state voter suppression measures, from ID laws to longer lines, have become more prevalent, targeting black Americans with almost a surgical precision, according to a federal court. So again, even if we do vote in droves, we're still being disenfranchised, marginalized with voter suppression. Right? You got states where, especially when it comes to, offenders, right? Ex-cons who want to be established in the political process, they can't do it, or there's so much red tape to do that, to actually get into political process, they're not interested anymore. Again, voter apathy when it comes to them, right? So it says, according to a federal court, subpar outreach and mobilization efforts coupled with voter suppression hurt Democrats more than an uninterested black electorate. Finally, higher black turnout does not equate to Democratic wins. Though it increased in 1984, 2000, and 2004, Republican nominees won the White House. Okay? I'll link what I just read in the description below. All right? So, again, man, when it comes to spite voting, because black people, black society, they're just going to, a majority of us, unfortunately, are Democrat, are liberal. We have that thought process. We just follow the flock, right? Follow the flock. And of course, you guys know that I've always been independent, or now I'm a registered independent, but I'm also apolitical. So I'm not involving myself in the political process. I'm not voting. That's being apolitical. someone down the middle. I'm a registered independent for years, since I was 18, and I'm apolitical. So I'm not voting for either candidate. I'm not. Period. Again, I voted for local elections. Yes, that's important. But when it comes to the so-called president of the United States, yeah, I'm not getting involved in that. Period. Now, you say, well, what's the best way? Holding your vote. What's that going to do? Right? If you do that, if you hold your vote, and again, this is backed up by empirical data. See, they call this voter apathy, people who are not interested in the political process. But disenfranchised groups, marginalized groups like the so-called Jewish community, like the Native American community, like the Asian community, they withhold their vote, and they've done it before in groups, right? They've hold their vote, and what they would do is they would say, well, whatever political candidate it is, they would say, hey, we'll back you unless you do this for us. Very simple. We'll back you unless you do this for us. You do this for us, we'll back you. We'll support you. And that's what black society is not doing. That's what black society does not know how to do. They don't. We don't have a monolithic thought process. We don't align ourselves with the code. We don't follow a code, obviously. And like I've been saying for years, the only code that black society follows is the Coon code. That's it. Outside of that, we don't follow a code, right? But yeah, so another thing about the black vote, the so-called black vote, and Joe Biden, of course, the guy who helped mastermind the 1994 crime bill, okay? Mass incarceration, making sure that the prison industrial complex is a multi-trillion, not billion, trillion-dollar industry. Trillion-dollar industry. All right? But yeah, Biden right now is grooming his running mate. It's going to be a female, more than likely a quote-unquote minority female. So he's grooming one of these candidates, as you can see on my screen right now, a female, right? This is all political play. That's all it is, all political play. My thought process is that, of course, trying to get the female vote, but also trying to get the vote for the LGBTQI community, okay? Because that's a protected group. So he's trying to get their vote as well. A female running mate, a female vice president as his running mate. So again, this is all political posturing, just to trying to garner up more votes for particular groups, like the LGBTQIA community. And again, these guys keep adding letters. I think the I stands for intersex. The A stands for asexual. That's like apolitical, where you don't identify with anything. Same thing with asexual. You don't identify yourself as a. It doesn't even make no goddamn sense. You might as well just add another letter and call it alien or some shit like that. I don't know, but anyway, man. But yeah, like I said, going back to voter spite voting and voting apathy. That thought process is very dangerous, extremely dangerous, because when you're doing anything from an emotional standpoint, you're bound to make so many errors, right? You got to sit back and think about things logically, because you can ask the average black person about Joe Biden's policies. Well, what are you voting for Joe Biden for? Name me, can you tell me his policies that he's doing? They can't name you one goddamn policy. They can't name you one damn policy for Trump either. Right? They can't name you one goddamn policy for either candidate, but they're gonna just vote for Biden just to spite Trump. And here's the thing about why. Another thing I want to talk about is that spite voting for black society is dangerous, but on the flip side of it, spite voting for white society is very prominent. It is very successful. Look what it did for Obama. Right? Like the article said, there were the same people who voted for and supported Obama, right? Supported Trump. But they spited. They didn't want any other Democrat in the office because of Obama. So they made sure that Hillary was not going to get in, right? That's another spite voting, but again, that benefits white society. And look what it done for them now. Spite voting for white society is very, very lucrative and very prominent, unlike for black society. Because again, we're always getting disenfranchised, mistreated, voter suppression, etc. Always. So, you know, again, family, don't fall for this okie doke, man, and believe the mainstream media about holding your vote makes you surrender your voting process. Our ancestors fought for us to vote. Well, why in the hell are there still laws in place to make sure that our vote doesn't count? Right? And again, like I said, even if we do vote all together as a monolith, it still wouldn't matter in the grand scheme of things. Because we have other groups that outnumber us, number one, and other groups not only outnumber us, are protected. So, and they're backed up by money. They back up their vote by money, with money, unlike black society. Right? So, you know, that's the whole thing about that, family. You know, so again, I'm telling you what I'm doing. You guys can do what you guys want to do in terms of voting. I'm not voting for either candidate. But if you guys want to vote for either candidate, that's fine. If you're not voting, that's fine as well. I'm just telling y'all what I'm doing. But I'm also telling you that voting for either candidate based off of emotion is very dangerous. Do not vote for either candidate because you don't like the other candidate. Spite voting is dangerous. If you can't tell me why you're voting for him and based off this policy, then you don't need to vote at all. Or your vote doesn't matter. All right? So do more research on who you're going to vote for if you're voting for either Biden or Trump. Do more research on them. Find out what their policies are. Right? Find out what they've done in the past in their political career. In terms of affecting policies and laws, what they've done in the past that's still affecting us today. Find out, do more research. But again, just don't vote for somebody because you don't like them. That's some elementary school shit. You know, oh, I don't like them. I'm going to vote for somebody. I don't like them. I don't like the Democratic Party. I don't like the Republican. No, don't use the word like or feel. Tell me something logical. Or tell yourself something logical, right? So, again, those are my thoughts on that, family. Leave your comments down below. Let me know what y'all think, family. Make sure you follow me on Instagram at GMOGFitness. I just worked out twice today. Got it in real good. After this, about to take a shower. Call it a day. But anyway, family, stay tuned for more video content. Again, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, family. Until next time, signing out. Peace.